It's a 10 unit rooming house. So it's not subsidized with, like New Brunswick housing or anything like that. The previous owner converted like living rooms to bedrooms. There's plumbing in all the rooms. There's a number of washers and dryers. There's kitchen. It's operational and it's fine. I just don't know of if the headache is worth it, because now I'm multiplying the potential tenant issues by 10. And on top of that, these aren't typical single family tenants with this isn't a nuclear family tenant.
My question to you was going to be, okay, how many kids do you have right now?
I have one.
How old is he?
2.5.
Did you want to add 10 more that probably have addiction problems, may have some anger problems, probably have some financial problems? Did you want 11 of those? Oh, plus, by the way, they're really big. They're adults, not 2.5.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and Andrew, your answer might be yeah. Your answer might be yes. The cash flow that it will bring me is enough that I don't mind doing that and babysitting it. And that might be your answer. But in a rooming house, that is most probably what you're dealing with.
And Sean brings out a good point, Sean Sullivan, that a rooming house is very hard to get a mortgage for. So that's another hurdle that you would have to get over in that particular case. So does this particular one that you're looking at, Andrew, does it cash flow really, really well?
It passed the wife test. So
okay.
So if I'm conservative with repairs, vacancy, property management, and I'm conservative on the mortgage interest rate of my rate, then yeah, it cash flows.
Okay.
Like my stress test is 8% for rent. For interest for mortgage.
Okay.
So it's cash flowing. So in terms of money, yes, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But I have to try to look at this in a bigger picture. I can't just look at the nice shiny coin. It may very well cash flow, but then the questions come up with, well, why is the person selling? Is this getting too out of hand where they just want to stop dealing with 10 babies? Or do they find one of them is having pets? I don't know.
Big babies.
Yeah.
Big babies. So I was first looking into so what are the implications of having a rooming house? What could there be? What benefits could there be? So if there's any rehab I got to do, I know there's New Brunswick programs where the municipality would, as long as it's approved stuff and it's reasonable, they'll cover 75% of repairs. That's fine. But again, ultimately, I'm trying to figure out, is it worth the hassle of the tenants?
This is the weighing that you have to do. Like, for example, 10 people living in a house like that is going to have way more wear and tear. Okay. So much higher maintenance. 10 people, you're going to have conflicts between people.
Everything, this is true stories that I've heard from rooming house owners. Everything from this person's bathroom stinks differently than everyone else's bathroom, and I don't mind everyone else's stink, but I don't like that stink. Literally that's specific. So it's a lot, you're literally babysitting. You are interpersonal relationships, sometimes mental health, sometimes domestic situations where they're just in transition. You're helping society. So it is awesome. But you are dealing with people that are in really rough times in their life, and that translates to emotion. And
not all cases, but in some cases, yeah. It comes down to you, Andrew. I would say you should be a veteran investor if you're going to buy a rooming house. It should not be one of your first 10 properties. That would be my suggestion. Once you got 10 properties under your belt, start investigating this type of property. It sounds as though this is in New Brunswick and you live in Ontario, so it's a long distance type of investment. And so you would have to have a really good property manager taking care of things, which you may or may not have. I don't know, but there's a lot that you'd have to consider before moving ahead on something like this. And to me, for you, Andrew, I would say it's too early to be investigating something like this. For other people, other investors, I would say maybe it's something of interest if you do all your diligence on it. And so maybe this is something, Andrew, that you get under contract and you assign to somebody else, because maybe if it is a good investment, there might be an investor that is willing to go through those steps. So it might be something you get under contract and then you assign to somebody, or you walk away.
The fun thing is, when I asked my realtor about it, she said, "Oh, if you want to look into this, I'll let two guys in my team go, because I don't want to go by myself."
Okay.
I don't know what that speaks. I don't know if she's half joking or if that's the kind of thing. I don't know. But she's not usually the type to do that. So if she says something like that, that kind of makes me wonder, okay, what's going on? I found that a little enlightening.
Yeah, just a little. Yeah. and again, I'll just say, right, like certainly that can be right up someone's alley. And the extra cash flow you get can on paper, people can say, you know what, that's worth it for me. I will say that most people get out of rooming houses that I've ever known within a year, if not 2 as a max. Most people don't stick around in that space. You know,
we're definitely generalizing here.
Oh,
but
100%.
Yes.
But listen, if it's a rooming house, there's usually, we've been around a long time. We know a lot of people who've tried it, and we don't know a lot of people who stayed with it.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. And I will go back to my number one preach that I always is emotion is the first thing that takes you out of this game. So at all costs, preserve emotion. And that usually means running your numbers right, having good reserve funds so that the finances don't get to you, and choosing your tenant demographic appropriate to your lifestyle and what you're able to put into it. Yeah, everything from the property management to insuring it to mortgaging, all of which is going to be tougher. Do you want to navigate that? Maybe you do. That's okay. Yeah.
Does that give you the general feeling, Andrew?
One thing I thought of doing was, let's say I somehow managed to get the place, somehow get some sort of financing, because I figured it would be difficult to get insurance that's reasonable and financing for a rooming house, right? But let's say all of that came into place. I wanted to potentially, because it's close to university, I also wanted to make it student housing. That would have been great. But it's getting to that point, I think would be such mayhem, especially with, I don't know what the agreements are with the existing 10 tenants. Are they month to month?
Right.
Whatever that looks like in a rooming house, I have no idea. It's
Well, and then what do the laws of the area or the province allow for with rooming houses? Sometimes they are under the Residential Tenancies Act, and sometimes they are not considered under. So you have to figure all that kind of stuff out. But I will say, if it is near the university and you do think that there is that ability for it, I would write up a cash flow sheet as it sits right now. Mm-hmm. And being really real with your turnover costs, your vacancy costs, your repairs and maintenance and all that, plus your property management fee, I believe would be a lot more than just your typical. I would write up a cash flow sheet like that, and then write one up as a student rental. If you feel that you can make this a student rental, what would that look like? And, what kind of BRRRR maybe would you have to do with that? And how would those numbers look up? That might be an assignment.
An assignment. I think that's the furthest I would go if I were you, Andrew, is do all the figuring it out, do all the diligence on it, and then you can assign that opportunity to somebody else. I don't think that it's an opportunity you should be looking at for yourself.
Partner with someone on it.
Or partner
boots on the ground.
Potentially, yeah. So with that said, and take it from there.